And for those of you who'd like to review this at your leisure, we'll be recording the webinar today and sending it out to all registrants after the broadcast. So today's topic is why legacy web filters don't work, protecting your students, your network, and your sanity. And I'm joined here by the Untangle sales team, who's available on the question panel. So if you do have some questions, they can help you through those if they are on the question panel. If you need some help with your GoToWebinar settings, take a look at the audio panel if you're not hearing sound. You can also select telephone for the dial-in number and access code. You may have better luck dialing in than you do trying to use the audio via your computer. And again, you can use the questions panel to submit questions either to me or to the team here. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Amy Untangle. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing here at Untangle. And I will be covering a couple different topics here today. First of all, we'd like to talk about why your current web filter solution may be failing you, and then present what Untangle can do that's a little bit different. We also have some terrific pricing for our education packages, and will be available at the end for Q&A on the topics that we're covering today. So it's kind of an age-old battle between teachers and IT staff, and at the end of it, nobody's really happy with legacy web filters. You need to have a web filter system in place, not that this is news to you, for CIPA compliance, but on the other hand, you're dealing with the inflexibility, they're difficult to manage, they take a lot of IT resources to go and muck around in them to make the policies fit with what your needs are, and they're expensive. And especially they're expensive if they're a single-purpose device that does nothing more than just filter websites. So a lot of people end up perceiving them as a necessary evil rather than something that brings added value to an organization or to a school. And let's be honest, we all work in a harried environment. Today's teachers have more to do than ever before, and technology in the classroom is both a boon and a curse. We would love to help you and your staff and teachers be able to really take advantage of what's available on the internet. A lot of times teachers go out and research what they need in sort of a just-in-time fashion. They go and find supplemental materials for the curriculum that they want to introduce into the classroom, and they don't want to have to go and contact IT to add these to a white list or a safe list to get them available for classroom use. That turnaround time can be 2-3 days a week, and in a time where you want to just throw something up and show it to the classroom, you don't want to be going out and reaching out to IT. So, we understand that this is a dynamic environment and that traditional static web filtering solutions may not be the best options for you. The other thing that happens is, web filtering is sort of table stakes to get into the game, but once you allow everything else to come over your pipe, there are all those different internet applications are competing for the same bandwidth resources. So even though you've blocked out the things that might be objectionable or inappropriate, you still have things that have real value competing with each other. And not to mention things that are more for recreational use, which might be acceptable during a lunch hour or something like that, but not acceptable when you're trying to get other things done. So, you can start mixing up curriculum items like typing web or something like an online assessment, which is obviously mission critical, and it's competing with another classroom that maybe isn't testing today but is using YouTube as supplemental material or something like that, and it's all going over the same pipe. So we can help you prioritize your bandwidth and sort of even out that competition. Finally, the biggest concern with bandwidth is it's not there when you need it the most. There are some things that are extremely bandwidth intensive. Skype is being used more and more in the classroom, which is obviously an amazing connective technology. Video, online curriculum, and then with Common Core, more and more schools are moving to online assessments, which are really critical for the success of their students. So, that has to be sort of job one when it comes to allocating bandwidth resources, which are almost always under pressure. So if we kind of take a step back and look at the 4 types of internet traffic, this is how we think about them internally here. Type 1 would be inappropriate. This is something that's going to violate your acceptable use policy. It's going to put your CIPA compliance at risk. I mean, we all know what those kind of objectionable materials are. The next category is recreational. This is something that's okay. It doesn't violate your acceptable use policy, but it's low priority. Like perhaps you'd like to give your staff access to Facebook, but you may want to say it's only available during the lunch hour and it's not available to students, it's only available to teachers. Then the next step on the hierarchy is something that's relevant. So these are sort of your operational applications, such as curriculum. These are things that you need for the day-to-day operations of your school. But they are not quite as important as critical, which is your most important type of traffic. And this would be something like online assessments where you're really in an all-hands-on-deck situation and you need to make sure that that resource has the maximum allocation of bandwidth and the littlest competition, the least competition. So what does all of this mean for network performance? Well, there are certain things that really tend to clog your pipes, and that's downloading images, swapping music files, and streaming video. These things are bandwidth hogs. Finally, peer-to-peer applications are notoriously bad because they open up multiple connections, and they can be a gateway to malware. So, there are things where you just may not want to have them at all, like BitTorrent and Pirate Bay. So what can you do other than light your hair on fire? I was trying to find a picture here of somebody with their hair on fire, but instead I found somebody in the guts of a computer. But you get the idea. It can be an exasperating problem. Well, we can talk now about what Untangle can do for you in these different scenarios. We have a couple of different products that we're going to cover today, both of which are ideal fits for school environments. But overall, just to give you a top-line view of Untangle and our philosophy around how to deal with web filtering issues, we know that you need to quickly respond to teachers and staff, not have a turnaround where somebody has to go in and mess with a complex filtering system or unintelligible rules that take too long in real-world scenarios. One of the ways you can obviate this need up front is by setting up appropriate group policies for teachers, students, or by classrooms and for administrators. So we give you the really granular control to make that happen. We also want to make sure that you're, as we talked about already, you're optimized for critical curriculum and assessment. That access has to be your top priority in terms of bandwidth. Finally, we make simple things simple. We try to have the easy things not be a challenge. So you have YouTube for schools and safe search enforcement with one click. We also lock down filter avoidance, especially in the higher grades. Kids are pretty savvy when it comes to how to bypass filters, and so we can lock that down with proxies. The other way that they try to get around filters is via SSL, and with our SSL inspection capabilities, you can make sure that your policies and filtering are enforced even over those secure connections. Additionally, for those of you who need management of mobile devices for one-to-one programs, we can offer solutions for that, as well as if you have a BYOD environment where students or staff can bring their own devices to get onto your school's Wi-Fi. We also have ways to keep that under control. And finally, although it's not anybody's favorite topic, we do have a really great way to get fast, detailed incident response with our comprehensive reporting when that becomes an issue and you need to make that kind of data available. So let me go over the two different solutions that Untangle offers that are best fits for schools. One is our NG Firewall product, and this is Untangle's version of what you might have seen elsewhere in the marketplace as a next-generation firewall or a unified threat management system. It's ideal for small to medium schools and K-12 schools. It's basically the key difference between NG Firewall and IC Control is that NG Firewall is an all-in-one firewall router. So it has that sort of routing capability, which is not present in IC Control, and it's capable of doing the filtering, the performance management, as well as adding layers of security, policy enforcement, and VPN. So if VPN is an issue for you, or you're looking for a router, then NG Firewall is going to be the right choice. Also, NG Firewall currently comes in a software-only option, which means you can download it. put it onto a server you may already have available and get started today, or you can buy it as a complete appliance. On the IC control side, this product is intended for larger organizations or campuses. You can install it at the district level. And it's also terrific for multi-appliance deployments because we offer a centralized management solution if you want to deploy multiple appliances. It excels at traffic management and shaping, as well as optimization and filtering, and it scales to 10 gigabits per second. So it's able to handle your biggest pipes, and it's really more of an enterprise-level solution for schools. It also, on the IC control side, offers client software for remote filtering, mobile device management, as well as a mobile monitoring app so that you can actually manage the IC control server itself from a mobile device. I'm going to go through the various features of the two products in sort of a compare and contrast mode so you can see what the differences are. There is some overlap, so it might not be crystal clear, so I'll also pause to be able to take questions at the end of it. On the network security front, as I mentioned, NG Firewall is a firewall router and offers VPN, where IC Control is going to be run in more of a bridge mode and doesn't offer those capabilities. On the content filtering side, both products are very strong. They both offer web filtering as well as HTTPS or SSL inspection, which I mentioned before, which is a really, as more and more services become HTTPS enabled, just right at off the bat, it really becomes critical to make sure that you are looking at those secure connections as well as things that are being requested in the clear. On the IC control side, we also offer endpoint remote filtering. So for certain mobile devices, we have a way to enforce filtering locally on those. On the NG Firewall side, again, it's more of a UTM or Unified Threat Management System. So we offer some additional things like spam or phish blocking, as well as ad blocking native to that server. On the network performance management side, again, both products are very strong. Both offer web caching and bandwidth control. On the NG Firewall side, additionally, we offer WAN balancing and failover. IC control, I would say, on the web cache and bandwidth control has a little more granular controls in that area, as well as those being manifested on their reporting, which I'll touch on in a future slide here. On the user management side, both are very capable as well. They both have a rich policy engine, Active Directory integration, as well as captive portal offerings. And on the IC control side, we also have support for multiple Active Directory domains, which becomes more critical in those larger environment deployments. On the administration side, both offer customized branding for your blog pages, as well as standard reporting. IC control, as I mentioned before, has a little bit more robust feature set for multi-appliance deployments, so you get the centralized management and reporting there, as well as a mobile app for server monitoring. So let me talk a little bit about pricing, but before I do that, were there any questions that came up through our Q&A panel? Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, great. On the pricing side, we offer up to 60% off on our software, as well as up to 20% off of hardware, and those are reflected in the MSRPs for our education products, which are basically the same products as you would get for a non-education buyer, but at an education price. And we also have found many of our customers take advantage of the E-rate funding, and we find that our products qualify pretty readily for that year to year. We also have conversion services available, so if you are running one of those legacy web filters and you need help getting onto an Untangle solution, we have some very aggressively priced professional services offerings that can help you get up and running quickly without a lot of headaches. So where can you go from here? Some of our the places you might want to check out on our website are the Help Me Decide page, which reiterates what you've seen in this presentation with the differences between the NG Firewall and the IC Control product. You can also contact here at sales@untangle.com, and we'd be happy to schedule a call with you or have a demo of either product, whichever one you feel fits your needs. You can also call us at the number listed here. Finally, if you prefer to kind of kick the tires yourself, both of our products are online at the URLs listed on the slide. IC Control is at iccdemo.untangle.com, and the NG Firewall is at demo.untangle.com. And both of those are live versions of the products where you can kind of kick the tires and see what the differences are in terms of the UI and some of the features and functionality, and see what kind of fits your needs a little bit better. Are there any other questions or topics that came up?
There's a question here about from Mantis about whether the NG firewall can block Tor anonymizer network access, and I can answer that one, Amy, if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, we can definitely do that with application control. Do you want to take it, Sean?
Yeah, with application control, there's over 600 signatures in the NG firewall that allows you to do three things to the traffic from the perspective of that application specifically. You can block it and reset the connection. You can flag it so that you know that that behavior is happening, or you can do something even cooler, which is called tar pitting. And essentially what that does is it keeps the connection alive between the server and the client that's trying to connect to that server, so that they don't think there's a problem, but it just silently drops the traffic. So essentially you're stopping them without actually tipping them off that you're stopping them. So that's something that can be done through application control.
Okay, great. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, there's a stream coming in now.
Sure.
One from Gene. He's asking, does Untangle qualify for Priority 1 or Priority 2 services? I'm assuming that has to do with E-rate.
Yeah, you're going to want to talk to your E-rate consultant if you're working with somebody. We don't give advice in terms of applying for E-rate funding. I can tell you that we do see many of our customers are eligible, but you're going to have to check in with your E-rate consultant.
There's another question from Michael. Is there Active Directory integration?
Yes, with both products.
And that's for both products, Michael.
IC Control supports multiple Active Directory connections as opposed to one.
Domains, yeah.
Domains, sorry, with the NG Firewall.
Yeah, we also are getting multiple questions about our SSL inspection and whether there's a certificate required. There is a certificate required in the IC Control. It can be downloaded from the IC Control device in order to do that full SSL inspection.
And the same goes for the NG Firewall as well.
Yep. So with both products, you're basically set up as your own certificate authority, and you'll need to issue those certificates to your clients. We have some detailed information available on our wiki. Otherwise, we can walk you through that from the sales side if you want to contact us. Take a couple seconds here to let some other questions come in.
George is asking how much hard drive space is recommended for web caching in a school with 100 computers. Essentially, George, on that one, really you can do if you're doing the NG firewall requirement, since it sounds like you're rolling your own hardware, as long as you stick with, there's a minimum requirement to run the software, but really you can't really buy a hard drive less than 160 gigs these days. You have to kind of go through extra effort in order to do something less than that. So for 100 computers, the web cache is going to cache about 5% of the hard drive space. So the bigger the hard drive, the more cache space you have. But also, web caching for the NG firewall is really most effective when you're really bandwidth constrained, as opposed to when you have plenty of bandwidth, because if you have lots of bandwidth, the caching is not necessarily going to be as effective for you. And I don't know, Emily, if you have additional guidance from the IC Control side of web cache.
Yeah, so from the IC Control side, you're purchasing an appliance that is rated for, all of our features turned on, and our support can give you the best recommendations on percentages of cache and things like that in order to, optimally use the system. So it is built into our appliance, and the hard drives are rated for that type of service or feature.
Yeah, let me jump in here just to clarify. As of the moment, NG Firewall is available either as a software download to run on your own hardware or as an appliance. On the IC control side, at the moment, you can only purchase that solution as an all-in-one complete appliance. In the very near term, we will also be releasing a VM version of that. So if you prefer to run it as a virtual machine, that is coming down the pike very shortly. But at the moment, it is a solution tied to a piece of hardware.
And there's a question here from John Kappas, I believe is the way it's pronounced, asking about the different hardware configurations based on size of the internet pipe. From an IC control side, again, you're purchasing hardware, and it is based on the amount of throughput that you have with your internet connection, and then a user band software license for the appliance. On the NG Firewall side, it's actually, if you're going to purchase hardware, it is based on the users, the number of users that you would want to run through the appliance. Correct, Sean?
That is correct, yeah.
And you can find detailed specs about the appliances and kind of the inner workings of the appliances on the website. So if you're really interested in how many Ethernet ports you have or what kind of RAM is in there, you can go and find that for both product lines on the website. Definitely.
George asked a question that I can answer briefly, but obviously if he needs more clarification, I can give it to him. But he's asking about does Untangle use OpenSSL? What about Heartbleed? And essentially the answer to that question is we use OpenVPN, and that had some of the OpenSSL in it, but essentially the Untangle OpenVPN that's being used is only communicating between OpenVPN server or Untangle NG Firewall servers and the clients that are issued a private certificate to them. So there's no exposure or concern that you need to have about Heartbleed in that regard. So.
Yeah, if you want to, thank you, Sean. And if you want to check in with our support team, there's a support bulletin right on support.untangle.com about Heartbleed.
Definitely.
We take it very seriously, and there are also no vulnerabilities on our e-commerce site or anything like that. So.
Hey, Sean, it looks like Mantis has a question about how BYOD is supported in NG Firewall. Could you address that?
So it's going to be supported really kind of both for both products in a similar fashion. With BYOD, typically people are bringing their own device that they own into a network environment, and that could be controlled or managed by IC Control or by NG Firewall. So essentially, when they're on the connection that is being managed by either product line, then they're going to be subjected to the policies that you have in place for either product line. So as far as reporting goes, with the NG Firewall, if you have Active Directory in place, you can actually use our captive portal, which IC Control has a captive portal option also, to make people authenticate when they bring their own device. They still have to log in and identify themselves. And by logging in, they're essentially agreeing to your acceptable use policy. Therefore, you can do whatever you want to the traffic that they have, and they're subjected to your normal policies that you'd have in play. But you can keep track of them even though it's their own device. So I mean, that should give you most of the clarification you need. But as long as the wireless access to the network is on the inside of IC Control or NG Firewall, then you'll be able to do that. So.
Yeah, just to amplify what you said, you can also set up some pretty neat policies if you want to have more stringent policies for BYOD devices that are coming in onto your Wi-Fi network. You can set up specific device-level policies that are a little bit more stringent than, say, what you'd have for your wired users where they're on a trusted device.
Yeah, and or for devices if you want to do it by what type of device it is. You could say, I want my iPhone users to go to this policy. I want my Android users to go to this policy. So you can do that with the captive portal in the NG Firewall as well.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
John is asking about, is there any kind of training and certification options available for our products?
Yeah, so that's a terrific question. We're actually in the process of developing training and certification for both products. So this is something that's kind of new for Untangle, and we haven't offered it in the past, but we've been getting more and more people into the Untangle family who are deploying Untangle in really complex environments and who would like to have that extra level of training and support available to them through more of a training and certification program. So that curriculum is actually being developed now and should be rolled out within the next 3 to 6 months. In the meantime, you can contact support if you need, immediate help, or they may have additional details on a preview for a training and certification offering. Anything else?
No, we kind of. Oh, John is asking where our support people are located.
Sure. All of Untangle support right now is in the U.S. I'm in the Sunnyvale, California office, and we have support people here, as well as in Salt Lake City, Utah, and outside of Denver, Colorado.
Just searching to see if there's any other questions we didn't already touch on here.
Sure. And if there is anything that we missed where you'd like to get additional help or clarification, or like I said, if you'd like to see a demo of the product, again, you can go and check out the demos online at our website. Otherwise, feel free to contact us here in sales at either sales@untangle.com or the 1866 number. The other thing that I didn't cover in this presentation is if you have another solution already in place and you'd like to compare and contrast with Untangle, or if you're kind of doing a bake-off where you're trying to figure out what the right solution might be for you, and there's a couple that you're looking at, feel free to contact us and we can go into specific competitive comparisons. I didn't feel like it was something possible to cover in a slide presentation, but we can help you if you have specific questions about competitors and how Untangle stacks up. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like we covered most of those questions. So.
Okay, terrific. Well, I want to thank our Director of NG Firewall Sales, Sean Gardner, for joining me today, as well as our Director of IC Control Sales, Emily Wilson, as well as the rest of the sales team, and most of all, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to join us for this overview. And like I said before, feel free to contact us with additional questions or topics, and we look forward to serving you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.